a lot of things are expected, a lot of facts are expected, whether it is in the shipping domain, whether it is in the domain of the announcements in the domain of trade. Trade deficit remains the big worry. Remember that when it comes to trade deficit, it has substantially ballooned for India, and it has been a concern. There will be announcements on mobility pact. That means Indians can travel to Russia, especially the skilled and semi-skilled Indians. Also, focus remains on as to how India and Russia can work together in global domain as well. In fact, the government of India sources a short while ago told us that trade deficit remains one of the key issues that which will be a part of the conversation. Defense remains another aspect, but I do not expect any announcements on the defense domain. I do expect focus being on agriculture front as well. India wants more agriculture products from India to be imported by Russia, which is another significant aspect coming at a time when Donald Trump's tariffs have been imposed on India, which has economically impacted India as well. There is a global geopolitical overtone over this upcoming ongoing visit. In fact, right now all of them or everyone are waiting for the first visual of the Russian president landing in New Delhi. His plane has already landed. Now we are waiting for the first picture of the Russian president. We can see several dignitaries are present here at tarmac, and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also present. He of course will be welcoming the Russian president. The red carpet
thought, Siddhant, those images coming in of the Russian president. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi set to welcome the Russian President Vladimir Putin as he arrives in the national capital for that crucial visit, coming at a significant time. There we have that moment that is going to be closely watched the world over. The Russian President and the Indian Prime Minister in that warm embrace. The red carpet welcome, a grand welcome for the Russian president, and in a significant diplomatic gesture, the Indian Prime Minister receiving the Russian president at the Palam airport. All right, so that smiling photo op preceded by that warm embrace where the Indian Prime Minister welcomed the Russian president, a significant diplomatic gesture where the Indian Prime Minister has received the Russian president here at the Palam airport in the national capital. Of course, a visit that comes with far-reaching implications, a lot of expectations, anticipation in the air. A visit that is going to be closely monitored around the world and especially in the United States, like we've been discussing, that performance that's been put together as a part of that warm welcome for the Russian president. All right, and there we have those images coming in. Following that warm welcome by the Indian Prime Minister accorded to the Russian president. Like we've been telling you, this, of course, is also a significant diplomatic gesture, a grand red carpet welcome accorded to the Russian president as well, a short cultural performance right there at the Palam Air Base. And what unfolds from here onwards will be closely monitored. Each and every move and each and every development, of course, is significant and comes with far-reaching implications. What is going to be discussed is also the immediate question that arises and will be watched, of course, the world over. So the optics, the symbolism, and each and every takeaway from those discussions from here onwards. the Indian Prime Minister being seen after that warm welcome accorded to the Russian president. Of course, this is a visit that comes with a lot of expectation in the air as well, wide-ranging sectors that it is going to be significant for. But overall, of course, beyond that, the larger message that goes out as far as the partnership between India and Russia is concerned, the two leaders, of course, will be discussing wide-ranging issues of global and mutual interest. And like we've been discussing with our correspondent, Susan Tehrani as well, this is a visit that is going to be closely monitored in the United States for the very fact that this is coming at a time when the visit is taking place amid the U.S. tariff tensions. So what unfolds on that front is the immediate question as well. Let's go straight across now to Siddhant Sibal, who's been tracking those developments. Siddhant, we've seen that warm embrace, smiles and handshakes between the two leaders. And now what unfolds from here onwards is going to be extremely significant. But let's also talk about what has unfolded over the last few minutes. You know, that a diplomatic gesture on part of the Indian Prime Minister receiving the Russian president at the Palam airport, that grand red carpet welcome. And as we've been discussing all along, the two leaders, of course, their chemistry and their bonhomie is also something that has been commented on the world over.
Well, yes, Molly, we saw those visuals, the fanfare, the warm welcome and the break in protocol for the Russian president. Visuals that we will see being beamed across the world and perhaps reactions also coming in. But it shows the time-tested relationship between India and Russia, a relationship that has remained firm, whether it's the Cold War era, the unipolar era or the multipolar era which we are witnessing currently. Now from here on, the focus begins on the substantive talks after the grand welcome that was given by the Indian Prime Minister. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister in the past has broken protocols for the Qatari leadership, for the Emirati leadership, for the French leadership, the Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, in fact the former Prime Minister, the American presidents as well, and of course now the Russian president. And the warmth was very visible, which can be seen as both leaders hugged each other. Now there will be a private dinner. We will get visuals from that, and we expect talks on a range of issues to happen at the private dinner. Thereafter, of course, tomorrow will be the big day, the ceremonial reception, the state banquet, the substantive talks at the Hyderabad house, where WION team will be present. We expect facts on a range of issues like shipping, agriculture. India's worry remains on trade deficit. That is something that India is going to raise. The Indians in Russian army is another area of concern. But there are more area of convergences than areas of concerns. And we do expect that an extensive joint statement will be issued after the both leaders meet. We do expect comments as well from the two leaders at Hyderabad House. And the war in Ukraine is going to dominate as well. In fact, the Indian side has told the Russian side that dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward several times, whether it's at the Samarkand SCO summit, whether it is last year at the summit in Moscow, or whether it is to the Ukrainian side as well, when the Indian Prime Minister traveled to Kyiv to convey the similar message. So everyone, especially the Europeans, will be closely watching as to what the Indian side tells the Russian side on this particular issue, a concern that has impacted the global south as well in terms of the high inflationary prices, the high prices of food, fuel and fertilizers.
Right. Do stay on with me, Siddhant. Let's also quickly get in Susan at this point. Susan, we did briefly discuss just a short while back about the significance that this visit has coming at a time like this amid the U.S. tariff tensions. But beyond that, I want to understand from you, and if you can just describe for our viewers what you have gauged in terms of how this visit taking place at a time like this has been viewed in Washington so far.
Yeah, so of course, President Putin just arrived in India, and I think we'll get a better picture of what the White House thinks, what Washington thinks, and what all the think tanks here in the United States think about this visit. But prior to this visit, I was reading about, the way that it's being perceived, at least now, before the two sides have sat down and talked. And I think the perception is that it shows that India has options, and also I think in Washington, notably the White House, with President Trump pressuring India on buying less Russian oil, and then the tariff issue, they're going to see how India is going to walk this tightrope between its longstanding relationship with Russia on the one hand, and of course, its longstanding relationship with the United States as well. You know, India being part of the Quad, the defense pacts, the economic pacts, the people-to-people dialogue and pacts that the two sides have had throughout the years. You know, it's been established that there's really a special partnership between the two sides, and of course, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi's personal relationship, which President Trump has lauded many times. But also, again, it's just very interesting to watch that Prime Minister Modi has had a very deep and long relationship with President Putin.